They say there's no hell on earth. But what if I told you? Hell has a name. And it's called CECOT. Hidden in the mountains of El Salvador lies a fortress unlike anything the world has ever seen. A place built not for correction, but for containment. Not for rehabilitation, but for total erasure. Some call it a prison. Others call it a human warehouse. But here's the truth. Once you enter, you don't come out. Not alive. Not in one piece. Not as the same man. Why did this tiny country, just 6 million people, build the largest, strictest prison in the world? 2 words. The gangs. MS-13. Barrio 18. And dozens more. For decades they ruled the streets. Extortion, murder, drugs, you name it. Entire communities lived in fear. Families were torn apart. Children were recruited. Death was routine. But in March 2022, everything changed. A new president. A new war. A new kind of justice. Within 16 months, over 70,000 people were arrested. That's 2% of the adult population. Buses filled with gang members drove in at night. Chains rattling, heads lowered. A human sea of silence. Not a single one resisted. This isn't a prison for petty thieves. This is for the monsters. Sociopaths. Psychopaths. Predators. We were granted access inside. But we were warned. You have 10 minutes. After that, we can't guarantee your safety. Welcome to the gates of no return. They took our cameras. Our phones. Our bags. Even my wedding ring. We weren't walking into just another prison. We were stepping into a machine. Cold. Calculated. Perfectly engineered to crush the human spirit. We passed through 5 layers of checkpoints. Each more invasive than the last. Full body scans that showed even your bones. Metal detectors. X-rays. Body searches that left no inch unchecked. This was not security. This was disarmament. Psychological warfare before we even saw the cells. The guards wear ski masks. Not because it's cold, but because being recognized could get them killed. The gangs inside have more connections than you can imagine. On the streets, in the towns, in the government. One wrong face seen, and it's over. Except for one man. The warden. He doesn't wear a mask. He looks these men in the eyes. They already know who I am, he says. And I want them to know that I'm not afraid. Before entering the modules, we stop at the armory. Automatic rifles. 12-gauge shotguns. Tear gas. Shields. Riot gear. Everything prepared for one reason. If something goes wrong, it goes very wrong. Over 600 armed soldiers guard just the perimeter. Inside? 1,000 staff members oversee 40,000 inmates. You do the math. And then we board the bus. We're headed into the belly of the beast. Through massive steel gates. Past layers of electrified fences carrying 15,000 volts. You can feel the air change. Heavier. Like the walls are watching. Everything here is designed for one thing. Total control. Even the gravel we're walking on isn't random. It's designed to make noise. A built-in alarm system. Every footstep echoes. You can't sneak here. You can't whisper. You can't breathe without someone hearing it. As we approach the inmate modules, one thing becomes clear. This is not a correctional facility. It's a life sentence delivery system. We're about to come face to face with 2,500 of the most dangerous human beings alive. And we were told one final thing. Once you step through this door, you're being watched by more than just the guards. The doors slammed shut behind us. The air changes again. Heavier. Staler. We're inside. A vast concrete chamber opens up. Metal bunk beds stacked 4 levels high. Rows upon rows. Men in white uniforms. Shaved heads. Hollow eyes. And silence. But not the silence of peace. The silence of watching. Waiting. Measuring. 2,500 of the most dangerous men on the planet, staring directly at us. They don't speak. They don't blink. Their eyes follow every step. They know we don't belong. They know we're outsiders. And they know we're afraid. I've never felt so exposed. No weapons. No backup. Just one camera. And them. These men were once gods in their neighborhoods. They ordered hits like takeout. Took lives over shoes, insults, or nothing at all. And now? They sleep stacked like cargo. 80 to 1 cell. Sometimes more. No mattresses. No privacy. One shared toilet in the open corner of the room. They eat with their hands. Drink from a single blue barrel. No fresh air. No sunlight. No hope. It's not a prison. It's a tomb for the living. The guards don't let us speak to anyone. Too dangerous. You see that yellow line? The officer says. Don't cross it. Ever. If they grab you, we won't get to you in time. And I believe him. This place is an ecosystem of fear. Even the guards walk with their backs to the wall. No one here has a name. Only numbers. Only crimes. Only what they've done. The worst part? Some of them look so young. 20. Maybe 22. Already tattooed head to toe in gang markings. MS-13. Barrio 18. 13ths, 18ths. 666. Spiderwebs. Teardrops. Devil horns. Each symbol a story. Each drop a life taken. Some have so many tattoos you can't see skin. Some have teardrops running down their cheeks. 3, 4, 5. Some have more. Too many to count. They used to rule neighborhoods. Now they fight for a place on a metal bunk. But even here, they still try to send orders out. Behind bars. Behind silence. They mouth coded messages. Blink in patterns. Scratch the wall a certain way. And the guards? They're watching. Every second. Every breath. Cameras. Lights. Eyes on them 24/7. Even when the sun goes down. The lights never turn off. Imagine trying to sleep. With your worst mistake on repeat. And 2,499 other nightmares watching. There's a reason they call this place a black hole. Not because of what goes in, but because nothing ever comes out. Inside these walls, there is no sky, no breeze, no sunlight, only shadows, concrete, and the hum of fluorescent lights that never turn off. Each module holds 32 cells. Each cell? 80 inmates. Sometimes more. No windows. No yard time. No contact with the outside world. No phone calls. No letters. No visits. Not even from family. Once you're in CECOT, your old life is over. We walked past one cell. It stank of sweat, bleach, and hopelessness. The toilet was in the same space as the shower. No curtain. No dignity. Just 2 plastic dippers. 1 basin. For 80 grown men. They shave the inmates every 2 weeks. Not for hygiene, but control. A beard can hide a blade. Long hair can hide microchips. There is no room for rebellion here. Only uniformity. Everyone wears the same white shirt. Same white shorts. Same plastic slippers. Same look in their eyes. Empty. Flat. Like the lights are on but nobody's home. When they sleep, they curl into each other like products stacked in a warehouse. No pillows. No mattresses. Just a metal sheet. A single blanket. And maybe a dream, if they can still afford one. There's a blue barrel in the corner. That's their drinking water. No taps. No sinks. No plumbing. If the electricity or water ever gets cut, this prison has its own backup systems, its own power grid, its own sewage. This place was built to survive a siege. It doesn't just isolate the prisoners from society, it isolates itself from the world. And yet, from above, a narrow walkway stretches between the cell blocks. The catwalk. Armed guards patrol it 24/7, peering down at the inmates like predators from the canopy. If anything looks suspicious, they intervene immediately. The prison is wired with cameras, microphones, motion sensors. No corner is hidden. And even in the dead of night, the lights stay on. Try sleeping like that. Try thinking. Try hoping. Some prisoners wrap towels around their faces, just to escape the glare. Not for sleep, but for sanity. This is what it means to be forgotten. This is what it means to never see the sun again. If you think what you've seen so far is hell, you haven't seen the whole. The isolation room. It's the one place in CECOT worse than the cells. And that's saying something. No windows. No clocks. No voices. Just concrete. And the sound of your own mind turning against you. The door is sealed. Not locked, sealed. Thick steel. A tiny grate at eye level. That's the only way the guards see who's inside. There's no mattress. No bunk. Just a cold slab of concrete. And that's your bed. No light, except for a pinhole in the wall. It barely lets the sun in. It barely lets air in. There's a bucket in the corner. It's for drinking water. Right next to it? Another one. For everything else. The smell is unbearable. Stale urine. Mildew. Sweat soaked into the concrete. You can't even stretch out your legs. You just sit. Wait. Lose track of days. They don't tell you how long you're in. 3 days? 10? 15? It doesn't matter. You'll break before then. Everyone does. Even the toughest killers. Even the lifers. Even the ones with devil horns tattooed on their faces. Here in the dark. They cry. They beg. They scream. And no one listens. The guards say, no books. No paper. No nothing. Let them sit with what they did. They're not wrong. Most of the men in isolation weren't just gangsters. They were executioners. Butchers. Men who played God in their neighborhoods. They decided who lived. Who died. Who disappeared. And now in this room. They're not in control. They're not feared. They're nobody. You see the eyes of a man walking out of isolation? They're not eyes anymore. They're glass. Like something inside cracked and never came back. One guard told us. Even animals don't deserve this. But these men, they're not animals. They're worse. Still think you can survive this place? They call him Psycho. Not as a nickname. Not for show. But because even inside this nightmare, he still stands out. 25 years in the system. Over 30 years in the game. They say he's responsible for dozens of lives lost. Maybe more. And now, we're about to sit across from him. Face to face. No glass. No bars. Just 12 guards and a 10-minute limit. You only have 10 minutes, they warned. Use them wisely. The room was dead quiet. Except for the chains. The scraping of steel as he walked in. He sat down. Looked me in the eye. Smiled. My name is Marvin Ernesto Psycho Vasquez. I'm 41. He looked younger. But his eyes didn't. His eyes were ancient. Dead men live in those eyes? I asked. How did it all begin? He shrugged. then answered like it was nothing. I grew up with just my mom. She worked all day. I needed clothes. So I robbed. I needed a father. So I joined a gang. Age 11. That's when his criminal record started. You ever tried to leave? He laughed. I came back to El Salvador to change my life. But there were more gangs here than back in the States. I just did what I already knew. Is it true that to join you have to kill someone? He paused. Then nodded. Once. Yeah. Sometimes even a relative. That's the price of loyalty. I asked about his victims. Was it 5? 10? He didn't flinch. Didn't hesitate. More than 50. But who's counting anymore? Then came something I didn't expect. He started talking about his son. Last time I saw him, he was 5. Now he's 21. I want to tell him. Don't do what I did. Don't follow my steps. He said he prays now. That he talks to God. That he asks for forgiveness. But even he admits. This is what happens when the devil gives you everything you want, and then collects. Before leaving, I asked, why stay alive in here? What's the point? His answer was quiet. Almost human. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get to see my son again. Time's up. The chains clanked again. 12 guards surrounded him. He stood. And just like that, Psycho disappeared into the prison's belly. A monster. A father. A man. Maybe all three. Maybe none. For years, El Salvador was drowning. One of the highest murder rates on Earth. 104 killings per 100,000 people. That's one person dead every hour. Gangs ruled everything. If you lived in the wrong neighborhood, you were a target. No safety. No law. No childhood. Just fear. Then the crackdown began. And CECOT was born. In just 16 months, over 70,000 arrests. Thousands of gang members disappeared overnight. And the result? The murder rate plummeted. From 104 to just 2.4. El Salvador, once called the murder capital of the world, is now one of the safest countries in Latin America. On paper, it's a miracle. But miracles come with a price. Because not everyone inside CECOT is guilty. Some were caught in the wrong place. Wrong time. Wrong tattoo. No trial. No phone call. No proof. Just a one-way ticket to the most unforgiving prison ever built. And once you're in, your family may never know where you are. Or if you're still alive. We met people who were still searching. Mothers. Brothers. Wives. Holding photos. Crying outside prison gates. Begging for answers. And getting nothing. The government says it's necessary. That peace requires sacrifice. And maybe they're right. But then you ask yourself, how much peace is worth one innocent life buried in a concrete tomb? CECOT is working. There's no doubt. The streets are quiet. Children walk to school. People sleep with their doors unlocked. But inside those gray walls, thousands of men, and maybe some who didn't deserve it, sit in silence. The kind of silence that never ends. This isn't a happy ending. This is a trade. Fear for control. Freedom for order. Blood for peace. So we leave the prison. Back through the gates. The fences. The guards. Back to the world. And we carry one final question with us. Is this the future? Or just a pause before the next war? Because justice is never clean. And peace always comes with a price.
If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Thank you for watching.